Good evening, everybody. It is I, Dr. CashMoney, back again with some more top secret Raid Shadow Legends classified information for the Cash Nation out there. However, before I divulge these secrets to you, go ahead and like this video. I'll wait. Take your time. Take your time liking this video. Just go ahead. Take your time. I got all day. Yeah, I got all day, man. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to like this video. I know you're thinking about it. You were thinking about it right now. You're thinking the rest of this video will resume at any moment. But what you don't know is, I have all day for you to like this video. Have you liked it yet? No? Well, go ahead and like it. At any rate, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. One of my friends in Channel 3, King, showed me some information about accuracy and resist, and asked if I would kind of go into it a little bit deeper than what the information was presented by Plarium. So I said I'd give it a stab, and it's been a while since I've messed with finite math and statistics, but pretty sure I have a good understanding of what the system is supposed to do and how it's supposed to work. So first of all, one of the big things that you need to know is about Affinity. And if you don't know what Affinity is, basically there's 4 types of Affinity. We have magic, then we have spirit, and then we have force, and they all get advantage, disadvantage against each other. So, you know, magic beats spirit, spirit beats force, and force beats magic. And then of course, slap dab in the middle of all that, we have void. Void doesn't get any bonuses, but doesn't get any penalties. So you have kind of like 3 different ways that you could be for Affinity. You could be opposed, we'll just say op, or you could be neutral, we'll say N for neutral, or you could have advantage. Kind of like how these affect at least accuracy in a way. When you're up against opposed Affinity, the biggest thing is it gives you a flat 35% chance that every attack you make will be a weak hit, and weak hits cannot put on debuffs, so that kind of matters for accuracy. You would think advantage would give you some kind of bonus to that, but it really doesn't. But then again, you don't get the weakness thing, so there is that. You don't have to worry about that. So the only time that resistance really matters, or I should say landing debuffs matters, is against opposed Affinity. You just flat out get a 35% chance that if you have an ability that hits the enemy and it's weak, you won't apply the debuff. So there's that. Moving on to pretty much the next step of how all this jazz works. Man, I'm just going to skip over this. No. Is the actual resistance versus accuracy. So what we have is we have a linear line that we supposedly believe that we're all operating on, where the linear line begins at 0 and then it pretty much goes out to infinity. I say infinity, I don't know what the maximum resistance into the game is, and we believe that so long as we increase our accuracy on this linear line to whatever our enemy's target resistance is, that will equal it, beat it, supersede it, go on, go further. However, that's not really the case. Instead, what we have on this linear line of scores is we have a bell curve, as told by Plarium, with how accuracy resistance works, and we also have our presumption of, let's see, this is what a linear curve would look like. You know, this is 0 and this is like 100%, right? So this is the presumption most players have, that eventually somehow they could get enough accuracy to have 100%. But when we have a bell curve, instead of having that, the 0 is out the window. 0 is not even the starting point. So the curve is actually up, and it goes something kind of like this. It would probably be a little bit tighter. And you'll notice that, you know, 0 is not a number on this line, and neither is 100%. And what does that mean? What does that, just this curve, this bell curve and this non-linear curve mean? Okay, so in a bell curve system, we have an origin, which is usually our mean, median, or mode for statistics. And I'm not going to go too deep off into that because I'm not going to teach you collegiate level math, because even though I do love math, I really don't want to be doing that right now. I'm just going to kind of like gloss over it. So in this bell curve, the brackets that go from where my cursor is here all the way over here are assumed to represent 99.7% of all reasonable numbers that can exist within our sample pool. And our sample pool begins with accuracy or resist of 0 all the way up to whatever the maximum cap is. So most basic champions have, let's see, accuracy. Start with an accuracy of 0. Most basic champions start with a resist of 30, I believe. Okay, so after the affinity thing, let's throw that out the window just to start with, and say this champion has 0 accuracy. It's going up against something that's 30 resist. It activates, procs, triggers, whatever its debuff against this 30 resist champion. What happens? So with 0 accuracy, there's no deduction against its resistance. So this becomes a, let's see, 30% chance to resist. And this becomes basically 70% chance to succeed. Alright, that's scenario 1. Scenario 2, we now have 30 accuracy. We are now up against that same 30 resist. What happens? Why don't you guess? I want to see if your brains are on. Okay? You thinking about it? You're wondering, postulating, waiting on the doctor to tell you what the friggin' answer is and to quit BSing with you? Okay, so we deduct our accuracy from the resistance. So 0, 0. You would think that would be 100%, and there's no way this guy could ever resist your power. Well, got news for you. That's not the case. Going back to what I was saying, here and here, and then these numbers that exist out here and over here outside of the realms of all of our samples. Instead, what we have is there is an roughly approximately, possibly 8% chance. It's not a very big one. That the enemy will still resist even if you have equal accuracy. So 92. And then you started to think, it was like, okay, well, what if I have 35? What about that? 35 to 30? You know what that means? You get -5. You're gonna die. Well, that's what you're thinking anyways. What do you think it actually is? I'll tell you, it's gonna look something like this. Yeah, you like that, don't you? It's still gonna have something like almost 8% chance to resist, and then this thing's gonna go marginally 92 0 0 0 1. That's terrible 9. So, as you can see, as you increase accuracy over the target's resistance, you get extremely diminishing returns. And you might be wondering why that is. Well, remember when I was talking about how the scale where we perceived it goes from 0 to infinity? It actually goes from infinity to infinity on this scale, because not only do we have positive numbers, when we're talking about getting an advantage, we also have the negative numbers as well. So, in theory, if you had like 230 accuracy versus 30 resistance, it's probably going to be somewhere maybe around 94, 95% or some crazy thing like that. But you will never, not ever get up to 100%. I think if, for instance, you had a target that had 30 resistance, and you knew that for a fact, and then you got yourself up to 1,030 accuracy, I believe that even still then there would be like roughly a 1% chance that you could still fail based on this system. Like it literally, that's just how Plarium has it work. So what does this all mean, Basil, for us that are trying to do things like fight clan bosses and whatnot? Well, I don't know off the top of my head what the flat values are. I've always been told, easy, and then we got normal, and then we got hard, and then we got brutal, and then we got nightmare, and then we got ultra nightmare. That basically you could go against easy with 0 accuracy. Normal you need 50, hard 150, brutal 200. This ain't right. Is it 200 or 50? Oh no, I messed up. 100. See, I messed up. Now I'm gonna use my eraser. I knew something was wrong. This is why I didn't want to teach math today, because it makes your brain hurt and you mess up eventually, and then you look stupid when you do it. Alright. Back to that. Hard 100, and now my marker is small. I'm gonna cue technical difficulties as I rage. Why is it still small? 150. Where's the thickness? Thickness is my sickness. Give me this brush. This better be thick. Okay, it is thick. Alright, so 0, 50, 100, 150, 200 here, 250. This is what I was told. And like I said, I don't know what the hard numbers are. I can't get into the game's database and tell you what they are. Nothing like that. Don't know how to data mine the APK or anything like that either. But I was always told if you wanted your highest margin of success, these were the numbers to hit for accuracy for clan bosses resistance. So let's say that, in all honesty, 250 is, Ultra Nightmare's resistance. Let's say that's just a fact. That means with 250 accuracy, what we still have is this 8% chance that it'll fail. And that's not accounting for the affinity nonsense. So if you're going up against an affinity you're weak against, then of course you have to deal with all that nonsense first, and then you do the checks on top of that. So still there's a chance for failure. And what's actually more whack when you think about it too is, like, let's say your AC was 245, right? And like the base resistance here is 250. Well, it actually gets an unfair advantage when you consider like the infinite scale, because this 8% roughly is like way out here in the infinite scale lands. But these other numbers that are in between it, these guys right here, oh no, they play by a different set of rules. Hey, you weren't thinking about that, were you? No, you weren't. So if we have 245 accuracy versus 250, what we wind up having is it has a 13% chance to resist now. And you're going to be like, man, that's some BS. Like, gar, I'm angry. Well, tough love, you might want to get your accuracy to the target or beyond it just slightly, because it's extremely punitive when you're off target. Extremely punitive. So it's like the lower you go, it's like, oh, what if I only had 230 accuracy? It's like, well, dang, this thing just went, now got like 20% chance right there versus that 80%. So be mindful of that. Be mindful. Getting below that 8% line is pretty hard. Actually, is this even correct? Let's see. 245, 5%, 13. Yeah, it is. Okay. But yeah, getting below that 8% mark is where stuff gets hard, where stuff goes off into, crazy land out here. But those marks in between it, these numbers here, those numbers are much more punitive. So we want to be as close to our target's resistance as possible, but not invest overly on it. So if you do know what like a boss's actual resistance is, if you do know that Ultra Nightmare's resistance is 250, like flat out, and you know that for a fact, then all you need to do is build 250 accuracy. You're not going to get any better with that champion. 300 accuracy is not going to help you. 350 accuracy is not going to help you. It's just not. It's going to give you diminishing returns. You're still going to like roughly have these small chances to fail based on this wacky curve system that Plarium has put in to, I guess, make sure there's always a chance that somebody can succeed or somebody can always fail. Because, I mean, it cuts both ways. It's like you could have 0 accuracy. That's another thing. You get a 0 AC versus 100 res or whatever, and you still have an 8% chance to succeed. They have a 92% chance to resist. It cuts both ways. So if you really just didn't care, you were just like, I'll take that less than 10% chance. Well, it's totally there. It could still happen. So even if you're outgunned, you could still get lucky. Anyways, this video has been a little bit long. It's been Dr. Cash Money. Hope this video has been entertaining and informative for you, and I hope it was able to explain a lot of things. I apologize for my drawing ability not being super great. Please stay tuned for more Cash Money videos, and I'll see you in the next one.